Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kostuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
From Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath, and our co-host Kostuba is in transit, coming back from India for it's gonna be a 2-day travel. Here with Mara, spinning the dials. Haribo, give me a thumbs up, people, if you can hear Mara. Say something, Mara.
Haribo.
How was that? Was that like a peep? Oh, everyone's like, nope. See, Mara's not.
Thumbs up.
She got a little thumbs up. You got to speak loud and proud. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show, the study of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. We're in the midst of it, and it's exciting. You know, I was just laying in bed this morning thinking about like the importance of accountability, and that's why we do all this stuff. And especially when you're living upstate alone in the middle of nowhere, where you're not like living in an ashram, living near a temple. You know, if you're in a temple, there's like this positive, or near a temple, there's like a positive peer pressure. Like, hey, I haven't seen you around in a while. If you're in a temple, there's like, where are you? It becomes like this. It becomes like this very official. Like, why weren't you at the morning program? You're sleeping in the You're sleeping in the ashram. But when you're out and it's like you have when you live upstate, you have a very, very long leash. And oftentimes, what happens with dogs when they get a long leash? They could wander into the road. The leash gets tangled around their ankles and their neck, and they choke themselves or cripple themselves with their own leash. And so the Bhagavatam for me, the Wisdom of the Sages for me, has been a way for me to show up on a regular basis, because I don't want Kylie Brown, Nancy R., Banjo Mike going, where were you? We were here. No way. I've got this accountability with everybody here on Zoom. If you're not listening to on Zoom and you'd like to, because I refer to them regularly on the show, you can become a Zoomer by emailing this gal, Mara, at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and you can have that personal accountability as well. Matter of fact, there are people that have been on Zoom for years and then they disappear, and I worry about them. I wonder about them. I wonder I wonder how the leash got tied around their neck or ankle, or sometimes everything's cool. But if you have disappeared from Zoom, please write me a little message and say everything's good, or say everything's bad and you're in deep trouble. Sometimes it's important to do that. It's sometimes important to reach out to the community or the devotees and say, I need a little help. I'm a little bit in Maya. No one gets out of Maya easily. Maya is so heavy. It's like getting covered in, what are those things called in hotels? Blackout curtains. You ever see a blackout curtain in a hotel? You close it and like no light can get in whatsoever. It's completely black. So it's going to be bright, sunny day. You close that blackout curtain, nothing's coming in. Maya's like that. It's like one blackout curtain fully covering you, then put on about 100 more. And so every time I'm chanting, it might release one blackout curtain, but we're covered. And I get a little glimpse, like the bottom of the curtain lifts up, a little bit of light comes in. But I've been working on my Maya for lifetimes. I've been working on my Krishna consciousness now for about 35 years. I've been working on Maya. I'm a black belt at Maya, man. Come on. So sometimes we get a little spiritual inspiration. We get a little taste from kirtan, a little taste from offering our food, a little taste. You know, Mara writes the takeaways down at the end of the board, at the end of the show. We're like, that meant something to me. But immediately, Maya's covering again. To live in that light. That's sort of going to be a theme today. I like that. To live in that light. We're going to talk about being real. Mara, you got some announcements before I just blab it away?
I do.
Speak loud and clear.
Yes. Radha Dasi had to cancel her 10 a.m. asana class today for our Patreon members. Sorry about that. And then we have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings. The men meet at noon today and the women are at 2. And Jiva G is offering a free webinar this Saturday at 1 p.m. on how Bhakti, what the 12 steps are and how it relates to Bhakti. And if you want to join, you can send her a message on Instagram at Bhakti Recovery Group. And Wisdom of the Sages Italy is happening June 27th through July 4th. Go to wisdomofthesages.com for more info.
Join me, Mara, and Kostuba, and friends, and Bhakti Recovery Group. Jiva G is going to be there doing Bhakti Recovery meetings in Italy. It's a great time. We love Italy. It's sort of got a spiritual, sort of feels like a spiritual place, Italy, doesn't it? I don't know if it's the Pope or the Catholics or the Romans. I don't know what it is, or the architecture or the food, but there's a lot of love going around in Italy, and you feel that. And it also helps that we are doing it at an ashram. We're staying in an ashram. If you want to stay in an ashram, is your opportunity. It's a nice, you know, I always wanted to do a retreat in Italy, and then I look at the prices of these places in Italy, and it gets expensive. And I was like, you know what? I've got a lot of students that don't have a lot of money. I've got some students that have tons of money. How am I going to do a retreat in Italy? And then this is perfect because it's sort of like I pass it off as ashram experience. And I was like, yeah, I want an ashram experience. And so, yeah, you get an ashram experience where you're sort of like jammed in a room with a bunch of nice people you don't know. And it's an ashram experience. So you're not going to have a sprawling room with a fireplace. It might have a fireplace, but you're not going to be in there alone. It's an ashram experience. But we don't spend much time in the room. And if you want a nicer room, that can be arranged somehow. Mikkel, who's on Zoom today, he's got another. Mikkel's has a family of it's like a giant estate he's part of, and it's right. This is a Krishna. Mikkel is a Krishna miracle. He's listening on Zoom right now, but he lives across the street, practically from Villa Vrindavan, where we do this in Tuscany, and his family owns this gigantic, estate. Like Villa Vrindavan, but it's his family's, and they rent, and it's beautiful, and they rent it out. And so he got into bhakti. Bhavananda, you're squirreling me out there, Mara. Wisdom of Sages Italy is the cannoli way to achieve summer liberation. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavananda. And anyway, and then his brother got into bhakti through Joe Rogan. Through listening Joe Rogan. It's just a crazy Krishna. The whole thing is a crazy Krishna miracle. Anyway, that's this summer. Mara, yes. Here's where I'm going with today's episode. Has anyone ever said, get real? Will you get real? That was like a thing in my high school.
Yeah. They used to say that in my high school too.
They used to say a lot of things in my high school. Get a job, get it real, get a life. Get a life was a big one. Get a life. Look at you with no life.
Funny thing to say.
Get a life. I used to get that if you were Kostuba used to say if he was distributing books on the street in New York, people would get a life, get real.
Did you have a response to that?
Yeah, you want to get real? This book will tell you how to get real. Kostuba had a million good responses, but it's an interesting point about getting real, because it brings up the essential point is what is real. What is my programming and what is real? And oftentimes we think, and we're attracted to people who are real. We're attracted to people who are not pretentious, meaning they're not pretending to be something they are not. And we think of someone coming in wearing some outfit or maybe they're very beautiful, or maybe they're flashing their money around. And why won't this person just get real and be a little bit authentic and be a little grounded? So does that mean they have to get rid of their beauty or get rid of their money to be real? Does that mean they have to downsize to be real? Was Maharaj Yudhisthira? Maharaj Yudhisthira wasn't into simple living. He wasn't living in a tiny home. Maharaj Yudhisthira was a king. He had a palace. So does getting real mean downsizing? And so the Vedas have an idea of what getting real is. I mean, we all probably have an idea. I think we inherently have an idea of when we are being something that we're not, or when we are being a little pretentious, and when we're, the word fronting, when you're fronting. And it's never pretty. And sometimes it's who's me and Paramananda. We can't, because me and Paramananda, who listens to the show regularly, and he's like one of my childhood friends. It's like we have grown up with each other like from childhood, and then we got into bhakti maybe a few years apart, and then we've been devotees, and we've traveled around India, and we've been in bands together. So if Paramananda wears something, or if I wear something that we haven't worn for 40 years, it's always like, oh, who do you think you are coming up? We'll like joke with each other over clothing. And you might have a person like that. Like if I all of a sudden start wearing like a derby, like you might not say anything, Patrick Heffernan might not say anything. Krishna would be like, oh, nice derby. Paramananda would be like, what the hell you think you are in that derby? You know what I mean? You can't fool a person who's like known you forever. So there is this concept of being authentic. And what is it about? It may be a good time to even tell my story about Naked Man in a Box. This is a very good story. You might have heard it before, and I think it's even in my book, but it is. Okay. So when I was a teenager touring with my band, don't worry, we're going to get it to the Bhagavatam. It all ties together, people. It all ties together. When Kostuba's not here, I'm extra focused. Okay. So I was on tour with Youth of Today. Youth of Today was, when it sounds like we're going on tour, someone like, Nancy R. and Martine thinking, oh, these guys are on tour. It must be like huge hotels, tour bus. No, we were touring around in a van that could barely make it 300 miles. We've never, I don't think Youth of Today ever stayed in a hotel. And, we'd sleep in the van. We'd sleep at, I'd make an announcement on stage. Who's got a house we could stay at? We'd stay at the promoter's house. So one of these days we're staying at this house in Washington, D.C. And the house was just like a bunch of teenagers renting a house. It was like a mess. And, it was Washington, D.C., a very politically correct town, as, some of you know. Or listening from DC right now. So you can always have to be careful what you say, how you act, because people are going to judge you for what you're saying. And so you'll try to be in your best behavior. And so sure enough, I was, it's always awkward going into somebody's house and trying to make yourself at home. And so we pull in there in the morning and, it's a mess. And I had to use the bathroom. So I said, is there a bathroom here? And they said, yeah, go up the stairs, first door on the right. And there's a bathroom up there. So go up the stairs. Open this door, and I stand there sort of in shock. Completely empty room. No curtains on the windows. Nothing's in this room at all, except one man building a wooden box while he was naked. Just a naked man in with a box, building a box with tools. And measuring, carving, screw driving. And I was like, I felt like I was walking into like his personal space, which I was. And I was just, and he had a big beard and he was probably like, I was like 19. So he was 28. So he sounds like an old guy. Glenn Burns, who is from DC, says, sounds like DC. It was so Washington, DC. So anyway, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just looking for the bathroom. And without even looking up at me, he just pointed over there. And so I went into the bathroom and I'm thinking, okay, why am I shocked here? You're in Washington, D.C. Be open-minded. People were naked. Big deal. It's their house. They're allowed to be naked. Naked's okay. What's wrong with nakedness? And I'm trying to think of every very broad-minded way to get I don't know. So I get out of that bathroom. I ask the most obvious question and I say, what are you building? What? And now at this point he's struggling. And if you've ever seen a man struggle screwing something in naked, it's very awkward sight. He's just like struggling, turning a screwdriver, like gripping his face. And I was like, and he goes, I'm just trying to get this damn screw in. And then I just asked the second question, and I just said, why are you naked? I mean, the door was open. It wasn't like he was like in his room. The door was open. It was like, why are you naked? And he stopped that for the first time. He actually stopped, put his screwdriver down, looked at me and said, what do you want me to wear? And my answer was quite simple. I just said, I don't know, jeans. And then he just looked at me and he goes, why? Why do you expect me to wear jeans? Because someone sold me a pair of jeans to wear? And then he started bringing up these, like, you know, how men dressed from the 1700s and 1600s. And why don't I wear knickers and high socks and shoes with buckles on them? Why don't I wear a kilt? Why? And then he got really sort of a little arrogant. And he goes, just because you are some puppet of society, he called me a puppet of society and mass marketing, that you wear anything they tell you to wear, but not me. I'm no puppet, not like you, puppet boy. Called me a puppet boy. And I was like, oh, all right, okay. I tried to be cool. I blew it within 10 minutes of being in the house in Washington, D.C. And so, but it got me thinking, like, what am I essentially, and what is my programming? And it got me appreciating Naked Man with a Box, because Naked Man with a Box had this desire to find out, what are we authentically? What are we authentically? And it's interesting because people try to find it with the body, and we're not. And the Vedic paradigm is, good luck with that, because you're not a body. I'm trying to find my masculinity. I'm trying to find my femininity. I'm trying to find my Italian roots. I'm trying to find my, we do it with race too, black power, white power. We try to do our genealogy and trace our body back to where it's actually from. And these are my people. This is my tribe. And it's interesting because the yogis have a completely different paradigm. You can trace yourself back. You can find your Italian roots, and you can find out that you were intermarried with, someone from Africa or someone from, a Celt or something like that. But it's still, the yogis say, it's still not going to find you. There is a you. Before the programming, before Madison Avenue sold me a pair of acid wash jeans with a rip in it, right? Before they've sold me baggy pants or peg leg pants or big collars or poofy hair that feathered back. I never posted that picture of me with feathered back hair. There's so many different looks, right? Like right now I have a beard. Me and Jeff Eisenberg have beards, right? There was a time, like in the 80s, you didn't have a beard. If you had a beard, you were a creep. Now it's like, beards or curly mustaches. It is the age of curly mustaches, people. And if you're new in town, if you're like 20, you're probably thinking everyone's always had curly mustaches. No one ever had curly mustaches unless you were like the spokesperson for whatever, A&W root beer circa 1921. Hold on a second. I'm struggling with my morning drink today because I couldn't find my Zizzer Zazzer Zuzz. My Zizzer Zazzer Zuzz, as I call it, is that little thing that blends your drink, like. And I don't know the name of those things, but the milk frother, yes, I call it a Zizzer Zazzer Zuzz. If you're familiar with Dr. Zeus, it's a frother. Dr. Zeus, what's his name? Dr. Seuss. Well, he mentions a Zizzer Zazzer Zuzz, so that's what I call that thing. Yes, Salvador Dali. Thank you. He had one of those mustaches. So the question is, so what was I before I was programmed? What am I authentically? And the interesting thing is, you can use some generalizations, and the Bhagavatam does use generalizations, and it's safe. We should understand that and not get triggered by generalizations. Why? because generalizations are just that. They're generalizations. They're not always true. Like if I say very quickly, answer me, Moses, quickly. You're not even here. Moses. You're looking for my scissors, exorcist. Think. Mara, answer me quickly. How many people ride a scooter? Quick. How many people can ride a scooter?
A lot of people.
No. How many people can fit on a scooter?
I didn't understand what you were asking me.
Speak loud.
4 in India.
I know, but that's not the norm. The norm is 2 people, 1 person rides a scooter, 2 people ride a scooter. You're ruining my entire analogy, Mara. But the point is correct. The generalization is 1 or 2 people can ride. But if you've been in India, if you've been in Thailand, if you've been in Vietnam, you know that you could fit a family of 5 on a scooter. It's a super common thing. I've seen people carry pigs, goats on scooters. I kid you not. This is just something you see in like developing nations. They can't afford a car or a pickup truck or an animal trailer. You're carrying that sheep on your shoulders on a scooter. You're carrying 20-foot long pipes on a scooter that look like you're about to joust somebody. So that is not a general thing. That's a unique thing that happens sometimes. The general thing is 1 or 2 people. That's probably the safest thing. And that's probably, that's probably a law of how many people. So we can say now same with the Porsche. Porsche isn't known for carrying things. You don't like say, you got a Porsche. Can you help me? I'm moving today. Can we bring your Porsche over? We can shove some stuff in that Porsche, but we're not gonna be able to carry a lot of stuff. I'm going to need a moving van. You will hear again and again these generalizations in the Bhagavatam about a woman vehicle and a man vehicle, and how they are all designed in different ways with different strengths and weaknesses. Does that mean women or men are always like that? No, it means they're generalizations. Therefore, you shouldn't get triggered by it. You should, and it might not fit. You could be like, not me. I hear you describe women as like this, not me. Or I heard you describe men like this. Oftentimes, the shortcomings described by that when we read it, we think, wow, that's such a horrible way to look at women. You're going to see it's actually because the weakness of the men. That's why they say if a woman is looked at as a seductress, it's not because the women necessarily is trying to be a seductress. It's because men live in their lower passions. And a man can't even grow up to be a man. They stay like a little boy if they've never controlled their lower passions. Every man out there, give me a Harry Bull if you know what I'm talking about. Harry Bull, thank you. Moses says Harry Bull. Dan Murphy says Harry Bull. Okay, so we're going to dive into the Bhagavatam. We're going to talk about what does it mean to be real. Oh, there goes the message board. Harry Bull. Yeah, it's most people, most men don't even realize it. Most men are just like, well, they call it game. I got game. You don't. It's the ugliest thing to even. I've got game. It's disgusting. It's like we don't even realize we have to even control our senses. We're trying our best to have game in the material world with the this is how men are thinking. Now men, hold back. Not all of you. Some people are like, not me. How dare you? I know these are generalizations, but a man is trying to find his worth by who he can attract generally. And if they're living like that, they can never enter the higher realms of their psyche, of their consciousness. Why? Because that's their currency. And even if their currency is low, right? Like sometimes the Thai baht is low. Has no purchasing power. You're still trying to use that currency. You're still coming here. I want to buy something in America with Thai baht. It's not going to go far. The currency is low. Sometimes we lose our currency, right? I'm getting old. I'm 57. My currency is low, so to speak. That happens. My hair is receding. My currency is low. I got a little pot belly. Currency is low. That's, you know what I mean? So I'll try some other currency. I'll try to make you laugh, right? Whatever it is, we're trying to sell ourselves with that particular type of currency. We want people to like us and appreciate us. Now, you got to understand, it's all pathetic, but it's what we do when we don't understand the self, because there is actually an other currency that we're actually trying to get at. And women, you're not off the hook. Women have their own problems. And don't worry if you feel like, what are you talking about, women? You're not even a woman in the first place. And man, you're not a man in the first place. I'm driving the Porsche and I'm trying to help Mara move out of her house. Get it? Get what we're doing here? These are just the vehicles we're driving around in. It's got nothing to do with us. Don't take it personally. It may not be cemented to you as a being. These are generalizations. You can also strap a goat on your scooter. I'm going to continue on. Shall we start the show? Well, this is part of the show. And we're just going to make the official. Yes. Om. Om. Peace. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam mudirayat. Before he started the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the very means of our conquest, one should offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Mudatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Reading from Canto 5, Chapter 6, Text 1.
Scissors, I love saying that. All right. So we're in a new chapter today. Exciting.
What's it called?
Name of the chapter is The Activities of Lord Rishabhadev. So Lord Rishabhadev is an avatar of Vishnu. And he's in a weird place right now. It appears weird to us. He's definitely sort of like Naked Man in the Box. See, the problem with Naked Man in the Box is he doesn't know where to go back to. Okay, I was programmed to wear jeans. You know, in the 90s, everyone wore the big stovepipe jeans. Remember those?
Jenko?
Did you wear Jenko jeans, Mara? Mara. I'm curious if Jeff Eisenberg wore Jenko jeans. Jeff Eisenberg, maybe. He says no. He's a little older. I think he might have missed Jenko. But anyway, the idea is that where do you go back to? What's the original me? Like, and you can see, well, I'm not the clothes, so I don't wear any clothes. Is that the answer? Is that how I find myself? Let's hear what the Bhagavatam says about being real.
Jenko stovepipe jeans.
Oops. Okay, sorry. King Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami. So here are the original narrators of the Bhagavatam, Parikshit, Maharaj, and Sukadeva Goswami. My dear Lord, for those who are completely pure in heart, knowledge is attained by the practice of bhakti yoga. That statement alone is very big. Knowledge is attained by the practice of bhakti yoga. How can that be? I'll tell you how it is. Tejam satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. As you surrender to Krishna, he gives you insight. The world is a maze. I think it's safe to say, if you're a little bit of a deep thinker, the world is a maze. What do I do? Where do I go? Especially my spiritual life. Where do I even begin? As they surrender, I reward accordingly. So knowledge is attained by the practice of bhakti yoga. And the attachment for fruit of activity is completely burned to ashes. You might have some fruit of activity in your heart, meaning I'm going to work for something. And then bhakti has a way of chopping away. It's a pruning of our desires. Just like if you were to prune a rose bush, you want to prune it. Why? If you've ever seen something after it's been pruned, like sometimes in New York City, they'll prune the trees or they'll prune the rose bushes. It looks sort of horrible. It looks like, why did you just kill this bush? But the pruner knows the pruning enhances the growth. Knit that into your scarf. By the way, there is a There is shame tactics going on with Mara. I don't know if anyone picked up on that. And I'm here to say, I'd like to see a message board link. There are some people shaming Mara about knitting during the show. And I have to agree, I was maybe the first one to do it.
You might have started.
I might have started. And some people say, Mara shouldn't be knitting. She's distracting. Is it distracting to have Mara knit? Please put it on the message board right now. I personally, truthfully, yeah, you just put it on the board. Okay. Now, because I will say that when you do knit, sometimes I'll be like, go to Wikipedia quick, and you're not there. That's what used to irk me. But I will say, as a listener to the show, if I was listening to the Bhagavatam, what I do every day is during my meetings, if I have meetings on the phone or if I have meetings, or if I'm listening to a class or a lecture, I get on my treadmill. I have a treadmill. I have what's it called? What's the treadmill called? There's a brand, whatever. Nordic Track. And I walk and I listen. If you ever have a meeting with me, you should understand I'm not listening to you. You know why? Don't take it personal. I cannot concentrate on anything. It's pretty sad. I'm a pretty sad victim of Kali Yuga. But when I just walk, not fast, not like I'm working out, not like I'm trying to build a sweat, it helps me think. It helps me stay focused. It's like white noise for my body. So, Mara, maybe your knitting is to help you focus.
Yeah, same.
Speak loud.
It's the same thing. I feel like my takeaways are better when I'm knitting.
Okay.
So it keeps my hands busy, so my mind is less distracted.
Okay. So, all right. So we'll check the message board and see what the people say. So, if you really got an issue with Mara, you can write it on the message board. We're giving you that blessing to write on the message board. We will not hate you for it. Okay. So it's the fruit of activity. Now, and we were saying that fruit of activity gets pruned out of your life. And why does it get pruned out of your life? Because it enhances our growth. It enhances the growth of the roses. It enhances the growth of the berries. It enhances the growth of the lilacs when you prune them down to nothing. Then next spring, boom. So when we get pruned in this world, and you're going to get pruned, people, expect it. You're going to get loss. You're going to get heartbreak. You're going to get betrayed. You're going to have people turn on you. You're going to experience disaster. It's Good Morning Show with Dragunov. Guess what? It's going to happen. But when you cultivate side-by-side knowledge, then when loss comes, you realize, oh, this pruning is there for my evolution. This pruning is there for my growth. This pruning is there for me to blossom. That's what's happening for a person weaving knowledge in. And when we weave it in on a regular basis, that knowledge becomes wisdom. And then when someone says, oh my God, you're going through hell, and we'll say, you know what? I know Krishna's got my back. I know Krishna is with me. How can there be something wrong in my life when Krishna is my friend? That's a big one. To have that feeling of Krishna's got me. You don't think Krishna's going to protect his devotees? Krishna makes that promise. We're Krishna's best friend. So yeah, you suffering from anxiety? I got something for you. How about Bhakti Yoga? It helps. It helps. Doesn't mean you won't get anxious. We've been practicing anxiety. I am a black belt in anxiety, but Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga assists you with all these things of seeing the greater picture. You know somebody who's suffering from anxiety? Share the show with them. Share the philosophy of getting pruned for their benefit. We have a little story we were reading about something like Krishna's with me and I'm safe. Meditate on that. I can't remember. Prabhu. Okay. Oh yeah, that was a good one. There's a story about these birds that were at the Kurukshetra, and these birds live. The bird is telling the story, and the bird is living at Kurukshetra, and every day, and they're a type of bird that lay eggs on the ground. They have a nest on the ground, and the mother bird laid all these eggs, and was really worried because all of a sudden these armies started to appear on either side. And then they saw Krishna drawing his chariot, driving a chariot in a very humble way for this very beautiful prince. And there was like a conversation going on. This was the Bhagavad Gita, obviously. And it was the bird, right? He prayed. Didn't he pray? Help me out here. Yeah. The bird was praying, I don't know what to do. There's going to be a war going on. Matter of fact, the war started and the birds had to fly away out of great fear. So the mother bird approached Lord Krishna and he said, oh, Krishna, you've got to help. I have babies here during this battle and I need protection here for these children. And the bird had just such great faith that what happened was Krishna told Arjuna, shoot the arrow at the elephant wearing the bell. And Arjuna, without even questioning, he said, shoot the arrow at the elephant wearing the bell. Shoot it right at his strap. And he hit the strap broke, and a giant bell landed right on top of the eggs. And so the eggs were protected for the whole 18 days of the Bhagavad Gita, of the war. And then at a certain moment, one of the animals had kicked the bell and it was released the birds. And Krishna knew exactly what was going on. Whatever you're going through, whatever reversal in life you're facing right now, whatever loss you're going through, whatever pain you're going through, understand Krishna's got you. He's dropped a bell over you for protection. He's helping you. He's incubating you. And then it will be relieved. That bell will come off and you're going to be free. Now, someone might argue, well, you don't know my story. I'm suffering from chronic illness. There's no getting better from this. Sometimes we go through that. You don't know my story. My friend's dying. Guess what? To the degree that we become focused and invite Krishna into our life, invite divinity, invite light. You might not believe in God. You might not believe in Krishna as God. You might just think, well, there's light and darkness. Guess what? There is light and darkness. That's a real thing. Invite light into your life and watch magic happen for you and everybody that loves you. If you have a person that's sort of faithless, but they love you, then you become God conscious. And then what'll happen is people will start asking you, why are you so different? What have you done differently? And you will help them from your transformation. Am I tangenting right now? It's not really. It is real Bhagavatam stuff here. Okay, so attachment and fruitive activity is completely burned to ashes. For such people, the powers of mystic yoga automatically arise. Did you know that? That some people in India, some yogic paths, are all about getting mystic powers. They want to be able to levitate. They want to be able to bury themselves in the earth or go underwater and meditate. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the pure devotee who just wants bhakti, they have all mystical powers. And if you read these teachings of Jesus, and I've heard Christians say this, like, I would believe in a God if he could resurrect himself. They'd say things like that. Ever hear a Christian say that? If he could resurrect himself, if he could walk on water, if he could, rise from the dead, if he could heal the sick, if he could, exorcise haunted people and throw the spirits into pigs. Guess what? That stuff's been going on in India forever. Read any of the books in India. It's all about exorcisms, walking on water, healing the sick, rising from the dead. These are all like in canons of literature around India, mystical things. And interestingly enough, it doesn't make you God conscious. It makes you mystical. But this isn't a put down on Christ and Christ's divinity, because the basic message of Christ was love God with your heart, mind, and soul, which is bhakti yoga. Whenever I deal with a Christian, I say that's the message that we're into. And they always say, no. Most of the time they'll say, no, it's different. But that's the message of bhakti. Love God with your heart, mind, and soul. And what will happen is, if you have that, naturally, you'll get all mystic powers. Some people, and the great souls generally don't flex them so much, but they'll have them. You know why? What's the answer? Why do they have the mystic powers, Mara? Do you know? To give they get them just because Moses says faith, to give faith to other people, and Mara's just nodding her. Yeah, because when you become really dear to Krishna, all they have to do is desire something, and Krishna will make it happen. Just like if you're a very wealthy parent and your kid goes, I want to go to the movies. You're like, I got better news than that. I'll build a movie. I'll build a theater in the house. You know what I mean? The parent, the wealthy parent wants to reciprocate with the child's desire. But a pure devotee is not going to ask for something foolish. Their desires will be. So this is interestingly enough, this is a type of way to evolve in bhakti. It's getting the mercy of great souls. It's called kripa siddhi. You get their mercy where they desire your evolution. And guess what? Krishna assists you to evolve. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? That's where you say, yeah, it's very interesting. I still haven't finished text 1, and we're 50 minutes in. Okay, I'm going to go. For such people, the powers of mystic yoga automatically arise. They do not cause distress. Why then did Rishabhadev neglect them? Sukadev Goswami replied, my dear king, you have spoken correctly. However, after capturing, he's going to use this analogy. However, after capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them, right? Just like if I capture a raccoon, I'm not going to say, oh, now he's my pet raccoon. No, careful. Similarly, they might run away or scratch you. Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in their mind. Indeed, they will always remain vigilant and watch the mind's actions. Let me repeat this. Let me read the next verse before we get into this. All the learned scholars have given their opinions. The mind is by nature very restless, and one should not make friends with it. If we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing the Mohini form of Lord Krishna. And Shobhari Muni also fell down from the mature stage of yogic perfection. Shall I tell these stories? Okay, these are good stories. Lord Shiva, so if you know the very famous story of Krishna cheating the demons, or Lord Vishnu cheating the demons, and you can see this, there's a giant statue in the Bangkok airport of the demons and the demigods churning the ocean of milk. And this is the story where different things come out of the ocean of milk. So anyway, they get this pot of nectar, and in that pot of nectar, this is the nectar of immortality. And so the demons steal it, and they take it out of the hands of the demigods, and they're all about to drink it. And the demigods are like, oh my God, we're helpless now. And so they appeal to Lord Vishnu. Vishnu, you got to help us. The demons have taken the pot of nectar. The last thing we want is immortality for the demons. So Krishna said, okay, I will get that back for you. So Lord Vishnu assumed this very, very beautiful form. And the form is of this gorgeous, like breathtaking, drop dead gorgeous female form. Now, sometimes we see someone who's very beautiful and we're just sort of like stunned by their beauty. They walk in a room and they're just like, and you can't take your eyes off that person. Ever have that, Mara? Yeah. You have? Yeah. Really? Who? I want a name. Sometimes there's things like we just men are the worst. Men go through that like a few times a day, I think. Mara's like, no, they don't. Yes, they do. You don't so much upstate because you don't see anybody upstate. In New York City, everyone's like distracted by beauty left and right. Anyway, so where was I? Okay, so the churning and this. Oh, so what happened was there's a very beautiful form of a woman Lord Vishnu turned into, and as soon as all the demon men saw this form, they just became like butter and melted, and they were like, "Oh, hello, a beautiful lady. What would you? How can we help you?" And she was like, "Well, this is Lord Vishnu speaking in the form of a woman. well, looks like you got a pot of something over there. Oh, yeah, it's a pot of nectar. You want some nectar? And she was like, well, why don't I distribute the nectar to all of you? And they're like, sure, my beautiful lady. It's just a thing that in the same way men have been flexing their power and their influence and their money. And we see that every time we see it. We see it, a man trying to bribe somebody. We see it in Hollywood. Women have also been flexing their power of beauty. Don't worry, you're not a woman. This is what women bodies can do. This is a type of currency women have, the women body has. In the same way, these guys have like, forcefully taken the nectar, from some other guys. Give me that. We're taking that. Men use that type of force on other people who are more vulnerable, and they took it by force. And now Lord Vishnu, in the form of a woman, is using this power. And this is even more powerful than the brawn, because now here are all these very strong, intimidating demons who just said, this is for you. And they gave her the nectar to distribute. And she distributed to all the devotees, all the devas first. And so anyway, that's the story. So the story, this is, but the story they're referring to in the Bhagavatam was when Shiva wanted to see this form. And Shiva said, what was that form that you showed to the demons that made them give up? Why would they work so hard to get this pot of nectar and give it to you? I don't understand what the form was. And he said, well, it was a form of a very beautiful woman. He goes, well, how beautiful was it? He goes, it was pretty beautiful. He goes, well, let me see the form. And Krishna was, or Vishnu said, Shiva, you don't want to see this form. He said, no, Shiva. Shiva was like, yeah, I really do want to see the form. And Vishnu was saying, Shiva, you do not want to see this form. You are an ascetic. You are a yogi. You are self-controlled. You're the master of all the yogis. And then finally, Shiva said, listen, Vishnu, I insist. I want to see the form. And Vishnu in a moment turned into Mohini Murti, the form of Mohini, the bewilderer, the ultimate Maya. And even Shiva, who's the master of all the yogis, he could not take his eyes off this form. This is a message to us. We think we're so powerful because we're chanting japa and we're disciplined. And, you got Moses back here. It's like, I only eat this at 10, my intermittent fasting. No, Moses, don't kid yourself. One of the wandering senses can drag you to hell in a handbasket in a moment. And it happened to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, in a moment, just became infatuated and then started chasing Vishnu. Now, you got to understand, this is a land of yogis where people are sitting in meditation and their master is chasing a very beautiful woman. That's what they're seeing. And Shiva got so excited that he lost his seed. I'll just leave it at that. He lost his seed, and his seed got carried by Vayu, the wind, and impregnated Anjana. And this is the birth of Hanuman, actually. That's why Hanuman is known as Vayu Putra, right? Putra means the son of Vayu, because Vayu carried the seed. He's the son of Shiva, and he's Anjana, the actual mother as well. He's the actual mother, the one who actually gave birth to Hanuman. So this is the story of his father. So it's saying here, like, listen, you got to be careful. You got to guard yourself. You have to know the people, places, and things that trigger you and get you off course, because it's not you. The mind is not you. Your intelligence is not you. Your discipline is not you. The only reason why we're doing this discipline with our mind and our senses is so we can go inside and find the pure, authentic me underneath it all. That's why I didn't even get to tell the Shobari Muni story. We'll tell that tomorrow. But there is an authentic us, and that's what we're trying to get to. And sadly, I got to fight all these demons just to get there. And I've been practicing, and this is where I was going earlier with this. We've been cultivating. We've been saying things like, oh, I've got game, or I've got some prowess in this world. It's prowess to take you off your spiritual path, you psychopath. Don't you understand? That's what your prowess is doing. We glorify guys who have, quote, game. We don't even think it's sexual addiction. It is just like they're so possessed, and culture is like stroking men for this. And once you get on this path and you realize, this is so crazy, I am possessed by this. I can't control my senses. Once you get to that point, congratulations. You're learning about the real ego and the false ego. The real ego is peaceful, it's calm, it's settled, it's connected. And the false ego has you thinking you're something that you're not. We'll continue with this tomorrow. Okay, well, Mara, any takeaways?
I got some good stuff today. All right. Maya is a blackout curtain.
Yep.
Live in the light and watch magic happen.
All righty. Call the light in. Once you call the light, then the magic happens.
Okay.
I'll correct that.
Okay, sure.
Knit that into your scarf.
Find your authentic self before Madison Avenue sold you your looks.
Say that again. I got distracted.
Find your authentic self before Madison Avenue sold you your looks.
Yep.
Like the naked man in a box.
Yep.
Our vehicles have nothing to do with us.
No, not in the big picture. In the small picture. In the very, very small picture, yes.
Bhakti has a way of pruning our desires.
Krishna will take away what's not ours, and it will leave us with nothing but him. And the other option of that is, like if I say, well, I don't believe in any of this stuff anyway, then the material energy will just take away those things anyway, and I'll just be left bitter at the world. To the degree that I'm not bitter, this is a good sign. Whether you're into Bhakti or Vedic path, to the degree that you're not bitter with the losses of this world, means you're a more spiritual person. You know, it doesn't matter what tradition you're from. My bitterness shows my materialism.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that too. Weave knowledge in daily to cultivate wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
How can there be anything wrong when I've got Krishna?
How can there be anything wrong? Krishna's got the baby birds.
We've been practicing our anxiety for lifetimes.
I have.
Krishna has dropped a bell over us for our protection.
You did a lot of takeaways today.
I know.
Were you knitting today?
No.
That's why. Maybe it's, what do you think? Maybe,
It might be
maybe
too
that's
many,
true.
though.
I want you to save the message board, download the message board so we can see how many people
We'll count.
agree with the critique.
It's a democracy here. I'll defer to popular vote. And you can put a goat on a scooter.
And that's it? You can put a goat on a scooter?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
know what that means? Put on a goat on a scooter means we're about generalizations. You can put a goat on a scooter. So we're not held in prison by our generalizations. I like that. Right? But there's generalizations and it's what comedy is made of. Comedy is made of generalizations. It's why people laugh at things. You know, it's why you guys laugh at, me spilling things on myself and, having my glasses break. It's a generalization. They don't always break. My glasses don't always break, but they break often enough where it's a generalization.
Break often enough that Roger's got
I've just decided I'm just going to buy. I bought 12 pairs of glasses now, and I just scatter them around the house. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Kastuba Prabhu is gone. He's traveling. He's on his way back. We're having a snow day in upstate New York. It's a snow day. You know what that means? Read the Bhagavatam. Read a little more. Take care of yourself a little more. It's a snowy day. Maybe go for a walk in the snow. Silence of the snow. Maybe watch The Elephant Whisperer on Netflix. Don't watch Breaking Bad like my teenager's doing. Nah. Trying to tell him you can, what did I say yesterday? I said, I said, come to satsang. We can break bad habits. We can break bad habits, or you can watch Breaking Bad. That's the option here. There's nothing nourishing about watching Breaking Bad. There is nothing that will nourish your soul. Especially, and on a spiritual path, you'll be like, because I did do this. I told you this, right? Like when Breaking Bad came out, everyone's like, you gotta watch Breaking Bad. Why are people telling me to watch Breaking Bad? Everyone's like, you gotta watch Breaking Bad. Oh, you're gonna love Breaking Bad. So I was like, all right, there might be interesting here. And it's addictive. It's very addictive. Very addictive. And 6 episodes in, I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is like eating Twinkies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm gonna get sick and die. You know? You can't put that stuff in your body, in your mind, in your consciousness. How about Breaking Bad Habits? How about that one? Why don't we watch that one today? It's happening at an altar near you. Laura Rubino says, I tried to watch Breaking Bad many years ago, only got to the 2nd or 3rd episode and still having horrifying images. Yes! These things leave horrible images in the mind forever. I still have horrible images from The Exorcist. Why did I watch that? My mother told me not to watch it. I didn't watch it until I was 30. And yes, I watched Exorcist when I was 30. And I was like, why did I do this? My mother told me not to do it. You gotta heed good advice. Exactly. You can't, as my father would say, don't invite the devil into your life. The devil will come. Great advice. Invite Krishna. He would say the devil's real. Invite Krishna into your life. Krishna's real too.